here today at ODSC East in Boston 2016 with Michael Segala. Michael, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So you guys are one of the sponsors here. How are you finding ODSC so far?
So far it's great for us. I mean, we're coming in as a data science consulting firm. So we're pretty differentiated from a lot of the groups here, which are selling overall platforms or products. So we kind of can stand out nicely as offering a customized service, true consulting service. So for us, it's a really nice way to talk to people and understand, what they're looking for and how we can kind of help grow their business from a true data science service perspective.
Definitely want to talk more about that, but
sure.
Before I get into that, give us a bit of, what's your background?
Sure, of course. So actually my background is very similar to my two other co-founders. So we all kind of started our career in data science as PhDs in particle physics from Brown University. So we started there around the time we were all working at the Large Hadron Collider, if you know about it, at CERN.
Right, yeah.
So we were actually on the team that found the Higgs boson, so it was a really exciting time and it was a really dynamic time. So back then, we were basically data scientists in training, right? So we were dealing with a lot of things that is an easily transferable skill to be a data science professionally, right? So we all kind of bridged that gap, left academics, understood what it meant to be data science in a business setting, right? Nobody cares anymore about the academics and the theoretical sides. How do you now do it in a business setting?
That's excellent.
So we did that for a couple years. We really got an understanding from that perspective, and then from there we started the consulting company.
Excellent. And so ODSC, interesting mix of people here. We have students, we have data scientists, we have coders, we have hardcore data wranglers. Have you met some interesting people here?
I have. I mean, like you're describing, I ran into people that I didn't even know about. One guy was the creator of our studio, and the other guy's the creator of Julia, and you're just talking to them, you have no idea. I mean, I guess it's bad on my side if I don't know exactly who they are, but it's quite amazing. I was able to speak with a gentleman today who, he was taught, somebody who taught him a class was Richard Feynman, who's the most famous physicist of all time. So you never understand or people's background until you can start talking to them. And some people are just, they have these fantastic backgrounds that you don't even know about until you get to places like this and you can talk to them.
No, absolutely. That's one of the reasons we started the Open Data Science Conference, because as a software engineer myself, I was very much a taker. I wouldn't even look who wrote this stuff. I would just hit the download button and not worry about it.
Of course.
I'm like, who are these people building this stuff?
So no, it's pretty incredible. And the students are great. I mean, we get a lot of interest and a lot of people. I mean, nowadays, there's all these master programs and all these online courses to teach these data science kids, which is great. I mean, so it seems like it's a really great, initiative for the future of data science.
Excellent. And as you all know, Open Data Science, we're an applied data science conference, meaning a lot of our speakers and presenters and people like yourself are out there in the real world. So do tell us about the consultant aspect of your business.
Sure. So as a consultancy, specifically a data science consultancy, we're really working with clients from all sorts of different markets, right? So we have from healthcare startups to more traditional, financial institutions. So our kind of value add or the service that we try to provide is we go in and we understand, what is it that your business is trying to solve from a data science or a data perspective, and how can we help you do that, right? So it could be very high level consulting and advising, helping you manage a team, or literally coming in and, writing some of that software ourselves. So that's what we provide, and, the overall question is, what are your business questions and how can we help you solve them to increase profits or, something of that sort.
You guys are definitely in the right field. You must be in demand.
It's been really nice so far.
So tell us some of the interesting projects you've been working on. Or
sure. So some of the things that come to mind, one of the things that I enjoyed most was actually one of our first project, working with a team out of California that was trying to understand and better predict sleep apnea. So sleep apnea is this really bad sleeping disorder at night where you stop breathing, and it could be fatal or it has really long-term effects. So if you know anything about sleep apnea, you go to these sleep clinics and they hook you up to all these sorts of devices.
Exactly.
It's really invasive.
Looks like an astronaut.
Exactly. And you go and you sleep somewhere else, and that can't be natural. There's nothing natural about that. But they hypothesize that you can take an app and literally just at your own home, you put it next to you and you can record, just how you're breathing overnight. So they had this data and they said, now we want to predict, right? Do you have sleep apnea from this data? So they had us come in and do this whole really sophisticated machine learning data science thing where we said, okay, we understand it, we built a model around it, and it was able to predict to a level that is actually now allows them to go through all the FDA clearance, and it's going to be a way to kind of revolutionize the whole field of sleep apnea. So instead of needing these sleep clinics, you can literally do it from your phone.
Yeah, and that's actually, it's a great testament to what's so wonderful about data science, that you really can have an impact on people's lives.
Absolutely.
And it's also a great field for people to get into, because you're always working on these interesting problem.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys are, I'm sure, skipping from one interesting project to the next.
Yeah, I mean, and it's across all fields. I mean, you might have a healthcare-related problem like that, or you might have somebody who wants to predict the stock market, right? So you never know what the next client's going to want. And, it's that whole dynamic, kind of constantly changing field, and understanding the problems is what makes it really exciting.
Yeah, and that makes it exciting and also hard. That's what
it's
the hard
very,
field, because,
it's hard to keep up, but, that's our role and that's our job and it's what we like to do. So, it's definitely something that we thrive on and it keeps us moving.
Yeah, definitely tell me more about that, because someone who, you get a hedge fund or a quant fund come in versus an education company versus a healthcare company.
Yep.
But like you said, you use your data science toolbox, so to speak, to go. What's your tried and true models? What's your go-to?
Oh, that's difficult, right? Every problem has a different. It's interesting because some like these disruptive technologies out there, right? TensorFlow comes out, and all of a sudden everybody wants TensorFlow overnight, and
but having said that, neural nets is not the solution for everything.
It's not the solution for everything, but if you want to do, quant forecasting, you build a really sophisticated, neural network. I tend to really like, there's a great algorithms out there called XGBoost that does a lot of really nice classification or regression. And that literally, a grad student developed it, and it came through Kaggle, it became really popular, and all of a sudden it's everywhere. So, you use these open source tools. Well, we use open source tools a lot to kind of solve a wide range, but I'm a big fan of these GBM models and things like that.
Yeah, and that's really the challenge these days, because we often have this debate: you need to be a software engineer to become a data scientist, or if you're a data scientist, you can be a software engineer. But we're all about open source data science, and the accessibility of these tools has never been as good as it is now, and they keep getting better and better. But really, the challenge is, more than anything else, is interpreting your model, knowing which models to apply and interpret this. And you can run these optimizations which will give you the results from different types of models, but even that is not kind of enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a question that we get asked a lot, and we have with our clients is, we have a lot of clients that came to us and, they are like, oh, we've already fit a model to it, but now what, right? Now I get a prediction, but how does that answer a question?
Exactly.
Like, what do I do with this prediction
and should
to
I
my
really
boss,
use this?
right? Do I use this? I don't really understand if it's a probability score. What's the meaning of that? Can I risk $1 million because this says the prediction is 5? What's 5?
That's when they call you guys.
And that's something that I feel that a lot of these overall platforms can't provide yet, which we provide. So that understanding and that, how do you make it into a business?
Once we get into that machine intelligence.
Yes, then we're all in trouble, right? Once the chatbots take over, then we're all in trouble. But until then, I think we have a really good chance at doing some really good jobs and things.
Exactly. We might be closer. There was an article in the news how there was I think it was George Tech, there was a TA, there's a chatbot, and you could see from the exchanges that they were kind of catching on to it, but not quite. Yeah, I think the chatbot's last name was Watson, but that was a
sure. We actually just developed a really interesting chatbot for a client, which a few days later, Facebook announced that they were, putting out theirs. So it's really disruptive to have these huge companies open source their things. I mean, so, these smaller startups that are trying to do things, and all of a sudden it becomes open source. It's difficult for a products type of company sometimes, but we have to adapt and keep moving with the field.
Absolutely. And then since you're on the business side of this, do you find that the lexicon of data science is creeping into the business world in general?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we see a lot of just the C-suites. They hear these deep learning terms or something like that, and all of a sudden their whole analytics teams needs to be doing deep learning, where it might not even be remotely applicable to their their business. So then we get asked, oh, let's use deep learning to do something that's something a linear regression could solve and can solve quite well.
Exactly.
So, part of our role is, that education period where yes, we will help you solve that problem. We probably don't need deep learning to do so, but of course it fits. There's some great applications for it, but I mean, the lexicon is there. I mean, even my grandmother knows these terms at these points. So it's
wonderful.
It's great for us, right? To be able to talk to people and have a much more open dialogue now.
Excellent. And just as a data scientist, what excites you about this field these days?
I mean, besides from the vast amount of projects you can work on, it's really the changing of the environment and the tools that really keep you motivated. Because, even if you go away for 3 months and forget about all the new tools, I mean, you're already going to be lost, right? You come to a conference like this and, there's a dozen talks about new technologies and new packages that do some state-of-the-art, great visualizations or things like that. So keeping up with the technology is what I find fascinating, and all the really great new things that are coming out.
Yeah, but in and of itself, it's a huge challenge, all right?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it's almost a full-time job to keep up with things. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Job within a job and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for being a supporter of ODSC. Thank you for being here, and thanks for giving a great interview. Very much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.